Okay, Assalamualaikum class and very good day. So this is the second part of this topic, which is e-procurement. We have done the definition of procurement. We have looked into what are the problem with the traditional procurement. So for this part, for this video, we are going to look into two components, okay, method of procurement and the definition of e-procurement. So usually, spot buying it's happen especially for komoditas lah, barang-barang keperluan yang asas. And then biasanya akan berlaku bila ada keperluan yang mendesak, immediate needs. Okay. So kalau systematic sourcing ni most effectively done in private marketplace, which is the negotiation happen privately between the seller and buyer. And for spot buying, most economically done in public marketplaces. I think you have know what is marketplaces. Okay. And sebenarnya spot buying akan berlakunya will cause a maverick buying. So what is maverick buying? It's unplanned purchases of items needed quickly, often at non-pre-negotiated higher price. So kita dah tengok spot buying tadi, biasanya dia akan dapat the very prevailing market price, maksudnya harga yang agak expensive, relatively more expensive compared to the contract. Sebab kalau you beli secara systematic sourcing, you akan dapat harga in a contract basis based on the contract. However, if you purchase using a spot buying, you akan dapat harga yang memang harga pasaran biasa lah. So the problem with spot buying ialah the why we need a procurement. Okay, when we need a proper procurement, because we try to avoid maverick buying. So maverick buying is unplanned purchases of items needed quickly. Contoh, kenapa tak nak maverick buying? Why we need a systematic sourcing? Because satu ialah cost lah, and then satu lagi you do not know the quality of product that you are purchasing, because you are a business. You need to produce, you need to maintain the quality of your product. So we are going to look into the second part, which is the definition of e-procurement. Okay, so what is e-procurement? E-procurement refers to the electronic integration and management of all procurement activities, including purchase request, authorization, ordering, delivery, and payment between purchaser and a supplier. So compared to traditional, we have looked into the traditional way of procurement process. Dia kena ada orang tengah, nak payment, kena melalui accounting and so on. Okay, e-procurement try to automate all those process. So why we want to do e-procurement? Okay, you have to remember there are 5 rights of purchasing. So e-procurement should be directed at improving performance for each of the 5 rights of purchasing. So kita guna e-procurement, if you want to implement e-procurement in the company, so you have to remember the 5 rights. Okay, so your e-procurement must improve the performance of each of these right of purchasing, which are, okay, so first, what is the right? Okay, the purchasing must get happen at the right price, dapat harga yang the best price, okay, and must be delivered at the right time. Okay, you have to find a supplier that can fulfill your requirement. Okay, they can supply the product based on the time needed. Okay, and of the right quality. Okay, and the fourth is of the right quantity, which means the supplier must be able to supply a amount that's needed by your company, okay, and from the right sources. So mesti that make sure you choose nak kata good supplier ke, a supplier that can supply all the needs, with the quality, with the quantity, with the price. So dapat the best supplier. Okay, so e-procurement should be able to cater these 5 sources, should be able to improve these 5 sources. Okay, so bear in your mind with that. So before we go, we have defined what is e-procurement. So before you want to implement e-procurement, you need to understand what is the purchasing process happen. Okay, there are 3 basic steps identified by Zenz and Thompson. Dia kata kalau purchasing ada 3 basic step, which are, first is information. We have to get the information. Okay, information in terms of what? Who are the supplier? Maybe you want to find more than one supplier, and then we want to know about the performance of the supplier, the quality, and then what about the feedback from the previous customer of this supplier. Okay, after you get all the information, now the second step is negotiation. Of course, bila you nak beli secara banyak, so you need to negotiate. And lastly, after you get to the term, dua-dua dah dapat win-win situation, so the last part is the settlement. Okay, so ini kata these are the definition of each of the step. You may read it later. You may pause the video to read the definition for each of the step. Okay, so these are the traditional purchasing process, which is the requisition, receive, permintaan, dapat permintaan, and then we are looking for source of suppliers, and then lepas dah puas hati, dah pilih. So usually we will choose from different kita akan ada beberapa pilihan of suppliers, and we will choose one of them, and then the tendering process. Okay, and then the purchase approved, the purchase order sent to supplier, expediting process, then delivery, and supplier invoice paid. So these are the steps involved in traditional purchasing. Okay, if we use an e-procurement, those traditional purchasing process will be altered, okay, or amend, and we will have this process, the modern purchasing process. So kalau kita tengok kat sini, dia begin with requisition of course, tapi dia akan auto initiated by ERP. Apa maksud auto initiated by ERP? So kalau dalam traditional, the requisition process need to be done by a supervisor or a person in charge. However, if we are using a procurement, usually it will integrate with enterprise resource planning. Okay, bila ada stock or inventory yang kurang, ataupun kita tengok based on the production prediction ataupun forecasting. So ERP will decide what are the sources needed, the resources needed, and when. So the system will decide and will be automatically requisite or request from the supplier. Okay. And then the second step, commodity supplier selected via on contract or approved list. So usually kalau you pakai e-procurement, okay, you will have a database on the supplier. Okay, siapa yang biasa kita beli, siapa yang kita pernah, and then it will selected from the databases, and ERP workflow auto approve or routes for appropriate approval, and then ERP akan choose with the commodity, with the supplier, and then proceed with the required order to the chosen supplier by the ERP. Okay, and then kalau no, dia kata kalau perlu order, kalau yes, order send electronically, kalau no, purchasing card or online catalog used. Kalau kita ada, apa maksud kat sini? Okay, macam ni. So kalau barang yang kita nak tu, we do have a previous supplier, maksudnya kita dah ada supplier yang kita dah biasa. So itu jadi yes lah, boleh order ke? Yes kata. Kalau sistem kata yes, dia akan proceed. Kalau kata no, okay, then it will need to find the new supplier lah, sources of supply. So itu akan purchasing card, online catalog use, and dia akan pilih lah daripada supplier mana yang dia nak. So kalau tak, akan order send electronically, supplier acknowledge and provides update delivery, forecast data electronically. Okay, dia akan update delivery bila dia akan hantar dan dia akan forecast apa yang bila akan sampai and so on lah. And then kalau yang ni pun dia akan beli melalui katalog and delivery electronic proof of dispatch sent by the supplier and payment via electronic invoice. So the supplier akan hantar macam yang berlaku sekarang bila Shopee will notify you dah sampai, dah di-delivered, and then you akan send the payment to the supplier. Okay, so this is the modern purchasing process. Okay, next we're going to look into the definition of e-procurement system. E-procurement, what is e-procurement? So what is an e-procurement system? So it's electronic procurement system used to automate all of or part of the procurement function by enabling the scanning, storage, and retrieval of invoices and other documents, management of approvals, routing of authorization requests, interfaces to other finance system, and matching of documents to validate transactions. So these are among the functions that one e-procurement system should have. Okay, so now we are going to look into the one of the case study, mini case study 7.1. This is the e-procurement implementation at Schlumberger in Paris. So this is back to 2007, more than 10 years. 2007 ada berapa sekarang? 14 years ago. It was 14 years ago. So this case study told us about a system that have been installed in a procurement system that has been installed in Schlumberger. So Schlumberger is a global company. Okay, it has 84,000 employees at that time with 140 nationalities and operating in approximately 80 countries. I'm not sure now berapa countries, tapi Schlumberger, we have Schlumberger in Malaysia. So ada banyak Schlumberger around the world lah. So apa yang dia buat ialah they have installed a new e-procurement system that replace an existing system, which the existing system comprise of paper-based and some computer-based system. Okay, and it has been replaced with a single system. Okay, so apa yang berlaku after they install e-procurement system, the system has resulted in lower transaction costs for placing orders and also reduce the cost of goods as the price of product has declined through greater competition and negotiation of lower prices for the electronic channel. So we have defined it before. There are 5 rights. When you want to install e-procurement, there are 5 rights. The system need to improve the 5 rights. So one of the right is the right sources. So if you get the right sources, you will reduce the cost. Okay, why? Because you will get the best price for the product through the greater competition and negotiation. And then with the new system, employee act as purchasing agent, ordering directly via the desktop PC. And apa yang berlaku, the system run on Schlumberger intranet and enable staff to access a simplified catalogue of office supplies and technical equipment. Okay, apa yang baru contoh dia bagi kat sini ialah satu supplier yang digunakan oleh Schlumberger, which is Office Depot. So apa yang berlaku, Office Depot, they will get the special catalog from the Office Depot, which the employees at Schlumberger only see a subset of relevant product which special prices have been negotiated. So apa yang berlaku, so employee dia tak payah nak scan through all the catalog, so diorang akan dapat the specific catalog for their company. Okay, and once the item have been selected, the system automatically produces a requisition that is electronically routed to the person who will approve it, and it is then converted into a purchase order without the intervention of purchasing staff. Okay, so the technical solution is based on Commerce One buy-side procurement software for selection and approval and market side from the same supplier for the transaction between Schlumberger and their suppliers. So the Schlumberger reports that market side tends to give access to a wider range of suppliers Then when it use one-to-one EDI transaction, so they guna market side, which is a system that will put ataupun collect all the catalog from their suppliers. So Lamborghini ni boleh pilih supplier mana yang dia nak guna. Okay, so the solution was implemented gradually through introducing new items in stages. So this case study shows you the advantages of e-procurement when it is implemented correctly in the organization. So I think based on the case study, we can rule out or list out what are the benefits of e-procurement. Boleh bikin sendiri kan? So these are among the benefits of e-procurement. Of course, first it reduce the time, and then reduce the cost, okay, enhance the budgetary control, eliminate the errors, increase the productivity, improve the information management, improve payment process, faster and smoother process flow, efficient distribution of tasks and decision, increase transparency and better control. Kenapa increase transparency? Kenapa kerajaan Malaysia bila nak buat bila you nak beli barang dalam kerajaan, kalau for your information lah, dekat government, even UiTM sendiri, bila you nak beli barang yang melebihi ada certain amount, if I'm not mistaken, melebihi 10,000, you need to choose systematic sourcing method. Tak boleh beli spot buying method. Okay, you have to go through the procurement process. Dia mesti ada negotiation, kena ada dapatkan daripada sources, a few sources of suppliers, and then you have to choose the best sources. Kenapa? Because of this transparency and better control, especially if it involve very expensive supply, very expensive terms or things or services. Okay. However, there are some issues in procurement, of course lah. Banyak isu lah sebenarnya bila you nak implement a new process, new system, okay, new thing. Ada beberapa isu lah. Antaranya ialah competition issue. Apa maksud competition issue? Okay, mungkin bila you use the system, ada certain supplier yang tak nak they want to use the system, and then so dari segi competition itu tu nombor 2 punya barriers. Competition issue in term of orang akan tahulah apa yang what is your product you made it in the system. Mungkin kalau you pakai you guna public marketplace, so orang tahu you beli apa. Your competitor will know your product, what is your secret ingredients, maybe what is your apa yang you beli dari mana for your production and so on. And then ada second barrier is possibly negative perception from supplier. Ada supplier yang tak suka, and then costly and require a long process. Of course, if you want to implement a new system, dia akan ambil masa, dan sistem tu of course lah ada cost, tapi in a long run it will give a benefit in term of cost lah. And then change resistant, ini dari segi staff you sendiri mungkin tak nak berubah, malas nak berubah, tak suka and so on. Okay, so itu saja untuk this video for second part. We have done method of e-procurement. Ada 2 jenis, systematic sourcing, ada spot buying. Kita tengok definition, kita dah tengok limitation, kita dah tengok barrier, and kita dah tengok benefit. Okay, kelas, kita jumpa dalam next video. Okay, have a good day. Thank you.